question at the beginning, like, you know, what is your name and where did you go to school? You know, so you answer.
All right.
Great, your answer's great.
All right.
My name is Wayne Conti, and
All right, here we go. All right, let's go. He's got it. Okay.
I think so.
All right. So we'll start off with some easy things, then we'll just.
Are we good? Are they all recording?
Yeah, we're all good. Everything's hot. All right. So, what's your name?
My name is Wayne.
I thought we were going to start with the easy ones.
What is your name? My name is Wayne Conti.
Perfect.
Start
it. What's your name?
My name is Wayne Conti.
Perfect. Good. See, look, so much better. What's your relationship to the production staff?
I'm the father of some of them, and I am the uncle of the others.
Okay. And then, what are some of your favorite 4th of July traditions?
Well, we've had our favorite 4th of July traditions have changed throughout time because generations have changed. It used to be. We used to have a big round circle that we used to call Bruges-Gula game, and we had this whip that you would chase around, and you would whip the person until they got back into the spot that was vacated. Sometimes it was hilarious when you had someone with not so quick a foot and maybe bouncy booms, and it was sort of very cute. It was hilarious. That was one thing.
Remember, you're on video here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one of our favorite traditions. Of course, hot dogs after dinner was always another great tradition that we loved. We've never broken that tradition, I don't believe. And I say those have been a couple outstanding. I loved volleyball. I loved being at that age where I wanted to play. I wasn't allowed to play. I was in the game, and I just relished those games. It was great. We just had a blast. And then I got too old, and then we was able to watch the youth, and that was I could freeze frame that era in time forever and just watch you guys play volleyball for the rest of my life. So
perfect, great answer. All right, so when you think about, over the course of your lifetime, what are some of the most memorable, newsworthy things that have happened? So world events, things that were in the news, just major things that you can sort of remember that, the kinds of things where you can remember where you were when they happened.
Well, probably the most memorable thing that I can remember that during this era of my life, the 4th of July parties.
No, not 4th of July. Sorry. Just in general, at all, like newsworthy things that have happened in your lifetime, just major events.
Well, I'm zeroing in major events in my lifetime. Zeroing in on 70 years old is quite a few of them. So, probably some of the major events that were important to me, were noteworthy to me, was playing basketball, just as in a Bethel Lutheran league, I believe, and that was the day that Alan Shepard went up as an astronaut. The game stopped, and we all listened to that. When John Glenn went around the world, that was pretty memorable. John Kennedy being shot, know exactly where I was and what class I was in middle and junior high school when he was killed in Dallas. Certainly things that were war related, those were always important. Of course, when I became eligible for the draft, I was in a lottery at that time. They had the lottery, my lottery number is 344. And I gave up my student eligibility for the draft. My student deferment would have taken me out of any draft, but I dropped it. So I became eligible for the draft, but with a lottery number of 344, they never got anywhere out of the mid-100s in the draft for the Vietnam War. But Grandma thought I was going to war and I was going to never come home. Yeah, that still was a little unsettling to me, but the Vietnam War was, heavy in my era. There's something every generation, every decade I could probably go through and find something, but those are some memorable ones.
Those are great. And then when you think about some of the most impressive all-time athletic achievements or physical feats that that come to mind, when you think of just an impressive athletic achievement, or physical feat? What comes to mind for you?
I think probably there's a lot of those. You know, we're sports geeks in this family, and I think when the Pistons had their role and they three-peated, there's 3 out of 4 years, or two-peated or three-peated. I think it was nonetheless, they had some great years. After that, certainly was the Bulls in their heyday. Probably there's no better basketball team that's been on the planet since then. Some great teams forever. The Tigers' '68 World Series was a pretty awesome time in our lives, and then again in '84, the town just went crazy. You know that everybody was, grandmas and grandpas were talking about the Tigers, and everybody was watching the Tiger games. This is pretty much a Tiger town too. Yeah, the people do follow the Tigers, win or lose. But those were a couple fantastic years. I wish I'd have something fantastic to say about the Lions. I don't, you know. So, and of course the Wings were fantastic as well. You know, they just were awesome. I can remember when you guys were all watching the games together, and every time we scored a goal, you guys would do your goal dance around the tables and whatever you called it.
Roundhouse run around.
Roundhouse run around. There you go. Yes, indeed. pretty memorable times in our lives, for sure.
So a lot of obviously great sports memories over the years with some of the major sports. But in terms of like a more minor sport, maybe for some, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of croquet?
Never a real croquet fan, but I can remember one day in particular that my number one son took a croquet ball right in the middle of his back as he was departing, and that was at Medina at the time, and Armin had pretty long curly hair in the back, and I jumped off the deck, and you guys know this story. I think that
pretend like we
was,
don't.
I jumped off the.
So yeah, just to describe the whole event front to back.
Had a family get together. Okay, so we were all sitting on the deck. Us, all the older guys, the aunts, the uncles, we were sitting on the deck, and Armin and Gino had an altercation, and Armin, known to have a little bit of a hot temper, and he was not pleased with Gino's response to something. I don't really know what the incident was, but anyway, Armin in his fury took the ball and whipped it at Gino, and right in the middle of the back. I saw red. I jumped. I leaped off the deck, grabbed Armin's back by the hair, and had some words with him. And my wife, my mother, others thought I was going to kill him, and they were in fear for Armin's life. I wasn't going to kill him. I just wanted to scare him a little. I think I did. Yeah, that's number one thing I always think about croquet.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I mean, you obviously played a lot of sports as a youth. How would you sort of describe your style of play, whether you're playing football, basketball? What was sort of, what were the things that you were known for as an athlete?
Well, I'm a pretty big guy. Never was a speed guy. I'd never be a wide receiver or running back for sure. But I always prided myself in quickness. And there are a lot of videos out there that will show me being the first guy off the line. And I was pretty proud of that. I was able to make a trap block pretty good. That's why I beat out the guys that were in front of me, because I could get out and get a linebacker and cut him off and make the blocks. And so to be able then to lead a running back outside, those are sort of glory days. I love doing that, because if you could lay somebody out and spring a back for a big gain, that's awesome. A touchdown, best ever, to have the key block to spring a running back. So I always was pretty quick off the duration. I couldn't lead the running back any more than 10 yards downfield, but I can get out there. That's always was my best as far as football goes. Basketball, same thing. I wasn't the fastest guy, but had a pretty decent shot. But where is my speed? I mean, I have to get up and down the court, and I just was not fast enough to keep up with guys that were fleet of foot to be up and down the court. But still enjoyed it for sure. Baseball, played a lot of baseball, especially men's leagues. Played a lot of flag football, men's league. Had a blast. We had some outstanding teams. It was a joy. Never throughout our playing days and coaching days, never played or coached for a losing team except once, and I was on the coaching end of it that time, so it wasn't real pleasant, but played on some great teams, surrounded by a lot of fantastic athletes. And we had in flag football, we had in Macomb County, I still believe it's probably the record, we had a 69 game winning streak when we retired, and it's pretty awesome. We just crushed people. We worked at it though too. We didn't just show up on Sunday mornings and play. We practiced, and we surrounded ourselves with a lot of good guys, and so had a lot of good baseball teams as well.
Sure. And so you obviously there's a lot there, but if you sort of in brief think about maybe like two peaks and two valleys of your athletic career, what would you think of as like two of maybe the best moments and two of the worst moments for you as an athlete?
Just a single moment?
Yeah.
Boy. I suppose valley-wise, there'd be enough of those that you didn't want to remember too many times, taking a loss, I think the biggest valley of ever is that we went in and played center line in JV football, and center line just ruled. They were just beating up everybody, but we thought we could go in and beat them and play with them. Wrong. That was the most humiliating defeat I ever had in my life. We got shut out. Something, I can't remember the exact score. It was like 62-0, and no one could talk to me for about a week. So that was the most humiliating. Probably the most spectacular thing I could think of in my life as far as good things that happened is playing at Lakeview. And I suppose I was the best because the teams that I played on, my varsity years, those are the only two football banners that are hanging in Lakeview High School. Is that my junior year, we were bi-county champs. That's we played in bi-county at that time. And then my senior year, we were tri-champs. And those were some pretty good years. We had some pretty awesome guys, and those were very, very memorable days of my life.
Okay. So taking you a little back more to family now and your kids, and thinking back to sort of that croquet game we talked about. What was so Gino and Armin obviously involved in this story. What was their relationship like growing up?
Somewhat similar to like gasoline and fire. And Gino would be, you could ignite Gino's fire very quickly. Armin could ignite those fires quickly and just get under his skin quickly. And it was like somewhat of an art form that Armin had, yes, that to get under his skin. And so everybody knew it. Gino did know it too at that time, but it was incredible relationship that you had. And things have changed in the maturity of my sons, and I think they certainly do love each other. So.
And so, who would you say was usually the antagonist in Gino and Armin's relationship?
there's no two ifs, ands, or buts about it. Armin was always the antagonist, yes.
And so if you think about their, the dozens and dozens of times that they fought as kids, do you have a favorite anecdote?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think one of my favorite ones is that when I came home from work, I believe it was, and the bedroom closet door was smashed right out of its hinges, but they had managed to right it so at least looked like it was workable, when in fact they knew that they had busted it all the interior of it out. And how did that occur? Is by them duking it out and wrestling it out in the bedroom and smashed into the door, and Dad gets to fix the door then. So that was one of the most joyous battle royales of the family. There was a lot of times that, playing ball out in the backyard, whether it be in the at Medina, where we had the big easement to play football with, you could always hear them playing out there because it's close enough. And when's the game going to be over? There was a classic end point of the games. Well, usually the game's over when Gino gets hurt. That was their classic line at the time. That was fantastic. And then there was the time that a mom heard some foul language coming from the backyard, and it was something unbecoming, and so that was put the kibosh on. I believe it was my middle son Armin again with his tongue got himself in trouble, but those are fun days in our life.
I think we have to pause. This battery just died.
Yeah, this is also like 4 minutes.
Okay, good. So we got everything because we have that B-roll going. But if there's like a couple more questions, we'll finish up. And I assume dinner is probably around the corner here, right?
Well, the fire's good to go.
Okay.
So.
Well, let's. So then, Nick, you ready to roll here in a minute?
Yep.
All right, cool. Just 1 sec. I think we're about ready. That camera's rolling. This camera's gonna be rolling.
No wonder you're eating up so much battery.
Well, the thing is, for these cameras, it's two things. It's a
frame rate.
It's that they usually don't.
Oh,
have
that's good.
screens on.
That's good right there.
Yep, we're good. They're rolling. All right, Nick, you recording? Yep. All right. All right. I think where we left off. Let's see. We talked about the antagonist in our relationship.
Yes.
Talked about fight anecdote. Okay. So, kind of going back to the Croquet incident. At that time, when all that happened, did you realize that you were making history?
Making history? No, I did. Can I just start right up from answering your question? No, I didn't realize I was making history. No.
I mean, did you ever think that about 15 plus years down the road, people would still be talking about that?
No, I had never thought that the story would become legend. Yeah, so, no, it was. Yeah, it still lives on. It still lives in all of our memories. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'd do the same thing.
In the moment that you saw what happened, walk me through like your train of thought as much as you remember it.
What in the world are you doing? Why, Armin? Why? Did you realize, Armin, what you could have done? Could have hit him in the head. You could have knocked him out. You could have hurt him seriously. He didn't think about that. I thought about that. But kids do things that are crazy, and accidents do happen. Sometimes catastrophic. Thank God it was not catastrophic. There was no spinal cord injury or head trauma. So thank God. But yeah, so the story lives on.
How far apart were Gino and Armin when Armin threw the ball?
Pretty close range, because Armin caught him dead nuts right in the middle of the back. So yeah, Armin had a pretty good arm. He was still rather young, but he nailed him perfect, right smack dab in the middle of the back. fairly close range. I'm guessing maybe 12 feet would be my guess, recollection.
Okay. And then how much ground did you have to cover to get to Armin?
About 30 feet. I think I jumped over the fences on the shrubbery on the side of the deck, and then he was maybe about 10, 12 feet away from me, and so I covered that amount of ground in a few seconds. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you know, at the speed you're going, what do you think your 40 time would have been?
It never would have been great, but I still think that 40 time? Ooh, I don't know. 6'5".
And you know, if you had to compare yourself, you and Armin, in that situation to a predator and prey, what would be a good example, you think, of a predator chasing after its prey?
We just sort of saw one that with that's not a good example, I suppose. Predator and prey, you know, like a lion going after a antelope or something of that nature. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then, and I think that's about it. Any other final thoughts you have you'd like to share?
No, this has been quite intriguing. I appreciate the amount of research input that you guys have all had. This is pretty cool. I can't wait to see the final outcome.
Yeah.
The final product.
You guys have anything else?
No, I asked the one question I wanted to ask was I want your instant. Did you have any thought at all of what you were gonna? Were you making it up on the run there? Did you have any idea what you were gonna do once you caught it?
All right, and look here to answer.
Yeah, I did have some inkling of what I was going to do with them, but I was just going to give them a good swat in the ass. But that was about all my major intent. I was not going to get them on the ground, choke hold them, and no, that was about all I was going to do. He was young. He was not an adult. We weren't going to have a knock him down, drag him out fight. It was going to be hold him with his hair and whoppa whoppa, and that was about it. So,
who would win in a fight between you and Armin?
oh, hands down, I would have had him then. He was young.
So one of the things that's, I think, been documented a lot over human history is the phenomenon of dad strength. So in that moment, walk us through how your dad strength came through for you, and maybe some other examples of where it had come out in the past.
Certainly leaping ability. I didn't think I was going to jump over that thing and land on my own 2 feet safely, but I did. So I don't know if I would if I could repeat that without having that adrenaline rush. But that was I was never a high jumper, of course, but that was a big rush for me. I wasn't trying to. The only thing that I could think of in my life in confrontation with Armin in the past is when we were playing at the Silver Dome, and Armin jumped off sides a couple times. Not one of my proudest moments, but I called him over the sideline and I grabbed him by the face mask. Armin, listen to the snap count. And there's people looking at me, and they didn't realize it's my son. I wasn't going to kick his butt or anything, just got his attention. And that's sort of one of the times in my life that I can't say one of my proudest moments, but sort of similar in reprimanding Armin. So
Perfect. All right. Thank you. That's it.
We're picking up everything. Everything.
Yeah.
We're picking up dog. We're picking up family on the.
I know. It's okay.
I know.
It's
I think for those couple questions we'll be fine. But I'm just